Gabon, country lying on the west coast of Africa, astride the equator. A former French colony, Gabon retains strong ties to France and to the French language and culture. The capital is Libreville. Gabon is bordered by Equatorial Guinea and Cameroon to the north, the Republic of the Congo to the east and south, and the Atlantic Ocean to the west. The islands of Sao Tome and Principe are situated off the coast. During his presidency, Gabon maintained a close relationship with France under a system known as Franc-Afrique, receiving both political and military support in exchange for business favors. But relations cooled after his son Ali won a contested election in 2009 and the French authorities launched a long-running corruption investigation into the Bongo family's assets. Gabon is a major oil producer, but a third of its population live in poverty, according to the World Bank. Gabon, on the west coast of Africa, has had few leaders since its independence from France in 1960, with Omar Bongo ruling as president for more than 4 decades until his death in 2009. Some key dates in Gabon's history. 14th century, Bantu migrants settle in the area. 15th century, Portuguese explorers and traders arrive in the area. 16th century, European slave traders arrive and the coast becomes a center of the transatlantic slave trade. 1839 to 1841, France signs treaties with Gabonese coastal chiefs. Local Mpongwe ruler signs away sovereignty to the French, who establish a protectorate over the area. 1862 to 1887, France expands its control to include the interior of the country. 1910, Gabon becomes one of 4 territories making up French Equatorial Africa. 1958, Gabon votes to become autonomous republic in the French community. 1960, Gabon declares independence with Leon Mba as president. 1967, Omar Bongo becomes president after Mba dies. He dominates Gabonese politics for over 40 years, serving 7 consecutive terms. 1968, Bongo declares Gabon a one-party state. 1990s, multi-party political system introduced. 2003, Constitution amended to repeal term limits, ensuring President Bongo holds the presidency for life. 2009, death of Omar Bongo, succeeded by his son Ali. 2019, failed coup attempt. During a trip by President Ali Bongo to Morocco for medical treatment, armed rebels in Libreville temporarily declare a National Restoration Council to restore democracy. Government forces quickly reassert control. 2022, Gabon and Togo join the Commonwealth. 2023, President Ali Bongo is deposed by a group of soldiers just after being declared the winner in the August presidential elections, a poll that the opposition argued was fraudulent. The Gabonese Republic, French, République Gabonaise, is a country on the Atlantic coast of West Central Africa. Located on the equator, it is bordered by Equatorial Guinea to the northwest, Cameroon to the north, the Republic of the Congo on the east and south, and the Gulf of Guinea to the west. It has an area of nearly 270,000 square kilometers, 100,000 square miles, and its population is estimated at 2.3 million people. There are coastal plains, mountains, the Crystal Mountains and the Kalo Massif in the center, and a savanna in the east. Libreville is the country's capital and the largest city. Gabon's original inhabitants are the Pygmy peoples. Beginning in the 14th century, Bantu migrants began settling in the area as well. Since its independence from France in August 1960, the sovereign state of Gabon has had 3 presidents. In the 1990s, it introduced a multi-party system and a democratic constitution that aimed for a more transparent electoral process and reformed some governmental institutions. Despite this, the Gabonese Democratic Party, PDG, remains the dominant party. Gabon is a developing country, ranking 112th in the Human Development Index. It is one of the richest countries in Africa in terms of per capita income. However, large parts of the population are very poor. Omar Bongo of PDG came into office in 1967 and created a kind of Bongo dynasty, which stabilized its and his small elite power through a so-called clientelism network Francafrique. The official language is French and Bantu ethnic groups constitute around 95% of the country's population. Christianity is the nation's predominant religion, practiced by about 76% of the population. With petroleum and foreign private investment, it has the fourth highest HDI in the region, after Mauritius, Seychelles, and South Africa, and the fifth highest GDP per capita, PPP, in all of Africa, after Seychelles, Mauritius, Equatorial Guinea, and Botswana. Explorer Pierre Sévournian de Brazza led his first mission to the Gabon-Congo area in 1875. He founded the town of Franceville and was later colonial governor. Some Bantu groups lived in the area when France officially occupied it in 1885. In 1910, Gabon became a territory of French Equatorial Africa, a federation that survived until 1958. In World War II, the Allies invaded Gabon in order to overthrow the pro-Vichy France colonial administration. On November 28, 1958, Gabon became an autonomous republic within the French community, and on August 17, 1960, it became fully independent. The first president of Gabon, elected in 1961, was Leon Mba, with Omar Bongo Ondimba as his vice president. After Mba's accession to power, the press was suppressed, political demonstrations suppressed, freedom of expression curtailed, other political parties gradually excluded from power, and the constitution changed along French lines to vest power in the presidency, a post that Mba assumed himself. When Mba dissolved the National Assembly in January 1964 to institute one-party rule, an army coup sought to oust him from power and restore parliamentary democracy. French paratroopers flew in within 24 hours to restore Mba to power. After days of fighting, the coup ended and the opposition was imprisoned, with protests and riots. When Mba died in 1967, Bongo replaced him as president. In March 1968, Bongo declared Gabon a one-party state by dissolving BDG and establishing a new party, the Parti Démocratique Gabonese, PDG. He invited all Gabonese, regardless of previous political affiliation, to participate. Bongo sought to forge a single national movement in support of the government's development policies, using PDG as a tool to submerge the regional and tribal rivalries that had divided Gabonese politics in the past. Bongo was elected president in February 1975. In April 1975, the position of vice president was abolished and replaced by the position of prime minister, who had no right to automatic succession. Bongo was re-elected president in December 1979 and November 1986 to 7-year terms. In 1990, economic discontent and a desire for political liberalization provoked demonstrations and strikes by students and workers. In response to grievances by workers, Bongo negotiated with them on a sector-by-sector basis, making wage concessions. He promised to open up PDG and to organize a national political conference in March, April 1990 to discuss Gabon's future political system. PDG and 74 political organizations attended the conference. Participants essentially divided into two loose coalitions, ruling PDG and its allies, and the United Front of Opposition Associations and Parties, consisting of the breakaway Morena Fundamental and the Gabonese Progress Party. On June 8, 2009, President Omar Bongo died of cardiac arrest at a Spanish hospital in Barcelona. In accordance with the amended constitution, Rose Francine Ragam, the President of the Senate, became interim president on June 10, 2009. The first contested elections in Gabon's history that did not include Omar Bongo as a candidate were held on August 30, 2009, with 18 candidates for president. The lead-up to the elections saw some isolated protests. Omar Bongo's son, ruling party leader Ali Bongo, was formally declared the winner after a 3-week review by the Constitutional Court, His inauguration took place on October 16, 2009. The court's review had been prompted by claims of fraud by some opposition candidates, with the initial announcement of election results sparking violent protests in Port-Gentil. The citizens of Port-Gentil took to the streets, and some shops and residences were burned, including the French consulate and a local prison. Officially, 4 deaths occurred during the riots. Gendarmes and the military were deployed to Port-Gentil to support the beleaguered police, and a curfew was in effect for more than 3 months. A partial legislative by-election was held in June 2010. A coalition of parties, the Union Nationale, UN, participated for the first time. UN is composed mostly of PDG defectors who left the party after Omar Bongo's death. Of the 5 contested seats, PDG won 3 and Union won 2, both sides claimed victory. In January 2019, there was an attempted coup d'état led by soldiers against the President Ali Bongo. The coup ultimately failed. In June 2021, Gabon became the first country to receive payments for reduced emissions from deforestation and forest degradation. In June 2022, Gabon and Togo joined the Commonwealth of Nations. In August 2023, following the announcement that Ali Bongo had won a 3rd term in the general election, military officers announced that they had taken power in a coup d'état and cancelled the election results. They also dissolved state institutions including the judiciary, parliament, and the Constitutional Assembly. On August 31, 2023, army officers who seized power, ending the Bongo family's 55-year hold on power, named Gen Brice Oligui Nguema as the country's transitional leader. On September 4, 2023, General Nguema was sworn in as interim president of Gabon. The presidential republic form of government is stated under the 1961 Constitution, revised in 1975, rewritten in 1991, and revised in 2003. The president is elected by universal suffrage for a 7-year term. A 2003 constitutional amendment removed presidential term limits. The president can appoint and dismiss the prime minister, the cabinet, and judges of the independent Supreme Court. The president has other powers such as authority to dissolve the National Assembly, declare a state of siege, delay legislation, and conduct referendums. Gabon has a bicameral legislature with a National Assembly and Senate. The National Assembly has 120 deputies who are popularly elected for a 5-year term. The Senate is composed of 102 members who are elected by municipal councils and regional assemblies and serve for 6 years. The Senate was created in the 1990 to 1991 constitutional revision, and was not brought into being until after the 1997 local elections. The President of the Senate is next in succession to the President. Gabon is a member of the United Nations, UN, and some of its specialized and related agencies, and of the World Bank, the IMF, the African Union, the Central African Customs Union / Central African Economic and Monetary Community, UDIAC/CEMAC, EU/ACP Association under the Lomé Convention, the Communauté Financière Africaine, CFA, the Organization of the Islamic Conference, OIC, the Non-Aligned Movement, and the Economic Community of Central African States, ECA/CEAC. In 1995, Gabon withdrew from the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, rejoining in 2016. Gabon was elected to a non-permanent seat on the United Nations Security Council for January 2010 through December 2011 and held the rotating presidency in March 2010. In 2022, Gabon joined the Commonwealth of Nations. It is located on the Atlantic coast of Central Africa on the equator, between latitudes 3 degrees north and 4 degrees south, and longitudes 8 degrees and 15 degrees east. Gabon has an equatorial climate with a system of rainforests, with 89.3% of its land area forested. There are coastal plains, ranging between 20 and 300 kilometers 10 and 190 miles from the ocean's shore, the mountains, the Crystal Mountains to the northeast of Libreville, the Kalo Massif in the center, and the savanna in the east. The coastal plains form a section of the World Wildlife Fund's Atlantic Equatorial Coastal Forests ecoregion and contain patches of Central African mangroves including on the Muni River estuary on the border with Equatorial Guinea. Its largest river is the Aguao, which is 1,200 kilometers, 750 miles, long. It has 3 karst areas where there are hundreds of caves located in the dolomite and limestone rocks. A National Geographic expedition visited some caves in the summer of 2008 to document them. In 2002, President Omar Bongo Ondimba designated roughly 10% of the nation's territory to be part of its national park system, with 13 parks in total. The National Agency for National Parks manages Gabon's national park system. Gabon had a 2018 Forest Landscape Integrity Index mean score of 9.07/10, ranking it 9th globally out of 172 countries. Oil revenues constitute roughly 46% of the government's budget, 43% of the gross domestic product, GDP, and 81% of exports. Oil production declined from its higher point of 370,000 barrels per day in 1997. Some estimates suggest that Gabonese oil will be expended by 2025. Planning is beginning for an after-oil scenario. The Grandin oil field was discovered in 50 meters 160 feet water depths 40 kilometers 25 miles offshore, in 1971 and produces from the Batanga sandstones of Maastrichtian age, forming an anticline salt structural trap which is about 2 kilometers 1.2 miles deep. It has a population of approximately 2.3 million. Historical and environmental factors caused its population to decline between 1900 and 1940. It has one of the lowest population densities of any country in Africa, and the 4th highest Human Development Index in sub-Saharan Africa. Gabon has at least 40 ethnic groups, including Fang, Mayani, Panuakira, Nzabiaduma, Tikmbit, Membe, Kota, Akele. There are indigenous Pygmy peoples, the Bongo, and Baka. The latter speak the only non-Bantu language in Gabon. More than 10,000 native French live in Gabon, including an estimated 2,000 dual nationals. Some ethnicities are spread throughout Gabon, leading to contact, interaction among the groups, and intermarriage. French is the sole official language. It is estimated that 80% of the population can speak French, and that 30% of Libreville residents are native speakers of the language. Nationally, a majority of the Gabonese people speak indigenous languages, according to their ethnic group, while this proportion is lower than in most other sub-Saharan African countries. The 2013 census found that 63.7% of Gabon's population could speak a Gabonese language, broken down by 86.3% in rural areas and 60.5% in urban areas speaking at least one national language. Religions practiced in Gabon include Christianity, Roman Catholicism and Protestantism, Islam, and traditional indigenous religious beliefs. Some people practice elements of both Christianity and indigenous religious beliefs. Approximately 79% of the population, 53% Catholic, practice one of the denominations of Christianity, 10% practice Islam, mainly Sunni, the remainder practice other religions. A private hospital was established in 1913 in Lambarene by Albert Schweitzer. By 1985 there were 28 hospitals, 87 medical centers, and 312 infirmaries and dispensaries. As of 2004, there were an estimated 29 physicians per 100,000 people, and approximately 90% of the population had access to healthcare services. Its education system is regulated by 2 ministries, the Ministry of Education, in charge of pre-kindergarten through the last high school grade, and the Ministry of Higher Education and Innovative Technologies, in charge of universities, higher education, and professional schools. Education is compulsory for children ages 6 to 16 under the Education Act. Some children in Gabon start their school lives by attending nurseries or crèche, then kindergarten known as Jardins d'enfants. At age 6, they are enrolled in primary school, École primaire, which is made up of 6 grades. The next level is École secondaire, which is made up of 7 grades. The planned graduation age is 19 years old. Those who graduate can apply for admission at institutions of higher learning, including engineering schools or business schools. As of 2012, the literacy rate of a population ages 15 and above was 82%. The government has used oil revenue for school construction, paying teachers' salaries, and promoting education, including in rural areas. Maintenance of school structures, and teachers' salaries, has been declining. In 2002 the gross primary enrollment rate was 132%, and in 2000 the net primary enrollment rate was 78%. Gross and net enrollment ratios are based on the number of students formally registered in primary school. As of 2001, 69% of children who started primary school were likely to reach grade 5. Problems in the education system include poor management and planning, lack of oversight, poorly qualified teachers, and overcrowded classrooms. Radiodiffusion television Gabonese, RTG, which is owned and operated by the government, broadcasts in French and indigenous languages. Color television broadcasts have been introduced in some cities. In 1981, a commercial radio station, Africa No. 1, began operations. It has participation from the French and Gabonese governments and private European media. In 2004, the government operated 2 radio stations and another 7 were privately owned. There were 2 government television stations and 4 privately owned. In 2003, there were an estimated 488 radios and 308 television sets for every 1,000 people. About 11.5 of every 1,000 people were cable subscribers. In 2003, there were 22.4 personal computers for every 1,000 people and 26 of every 1,000 people had access to the Internet. The National Press Service is the Gabonese press agency which publishes a daily paper, Gabon Matin, circulation 18,000 as of 2002. L'Union in Libreville, the government-controlled daily newspaper, had an average daily circulation of 40,000 in 2002. The weekly Gabon d'aujourd'hui is published by the Ministry of Communications. There are about 9 privately owned periodicals which are either independent or affiliated with political parties. These publish in certain numbers that have been delayed by financial constraints. The Constitution of Gabon provides for free speech and a free press, and the government supports these rights. Some periodicals actively criticize the government and foreign publications are available. The Gabon national football team has represented the nation since 1962. The under-23 football team won the 2011 CAF U23 Championship and qualified for the 2012 London Olympics. Gabon were joint hosts, along with Equatorial Guinea, of the 2012 Africa Cup of Nations, and the sole hosts of the competition's 2017 tournament. The Gabon national basketball team, nicknamed Les Panthers, finished 8th at the Afrobasket 2015. Gabon has competed at most Summer Olympics since 1972. Its Olympic medalist Anthony Obame won a silver medal in Taekwondo at the 2012 Olympics held in London. Gabon has recreational fishing and is considered the best place in the world to catch Atlantic tarpon. Gabon motto, Union, Travail, Justice, French, Union, Work, Justice. Gabon anthem, La Concorde, French, The Concorde. Thank you for watching this video.